The Xenotext is, in fact, a long work in progress that involves me translating a very short poem into a sequence of genetic nucleotides. And then with the assistance of a laboratory, I would actually build that gene sequence in the lab and then implant it into the genome of a bacterium, replacing part of its genetic code with my text. So the organism would, in fact, become the living embodiment of my poem. Moreover, I've written the poem in such a way that when it's implanted into this organism, the organism can actually read it and interpret it as a set of instructions for building a protein in response. A protein whose sequence of amino acids likewise enciphers yet another totally different but meaningful poem. So in effect, I'm trying to genetically engineer a bacterium so that it becomes not only an archive for storing my poem, it becomes a machine for writing a poem in response. And the punchline to this crazy act of mad science is that the organism that I have selected for this procedure is in fact a microorganism called Deinococcus radiodurans. It's an extremophile capable of surviving in all kinds of hostile environments. You can scorch it, freeze it, wither it, and it does not die. It can survive in the open vacuum of outer space. It can even survive 1,000 times the dosage of gamma radiation that might instantly obliterate a human being. Moreover, it can repair its own DNA so quickly that it does not evolve. It is a kind of evolutionary dead end because it resists mutation. Ergo, it makes a very durable archive for a poem. And by writing a poem of this sort and implanting it into this bacterium, I'm effectively trying to write a book that might outlast terrestrial civilization, and in fact, it may be on the planet Earth when the sun explodes. What I'm going to perform for you right now are these two poems. The one that I have written and enciphered as the gene sequence, and the one that the organism has written in response. Now, I probably should note that given the hellishness of the tone of this book, I've entitled my poem Orpheus, and the poem that the organism writes in response I've entitled Eurydice. I've nicknamed them these two titles. So this is, in fact, the Xenotext. This is Orpheus. Any style of life is prim. Oh, stay, my lyre, with wily ploys moan the riff of any tune aloud. Moan now my fate, in fate we rely. My myth now is the word of life. Now the organism would in fact read this poem, and in response it writes this following poem that I've nicknamed Eurydice. The fairy is rosy of glow. In fate we rely. Moan more grief with any loss. Any loss is the achy trick. With him we stay. Oh, stay, my lyre. We wean him of any milk. Any milk is rosy. Now, as a footnote, I should probably note that when the organism actually writes that poem and produces this protein, the protein causes the organism to fluoresce with a rosy glow. It actually performs the content of the poem by doing this kind of fey rubescent glow.